I'd like to provide just a brief update on the ongoing investigation. At this time, we are not officially releasing the name of any suspects. I can tell you that we do have a suspect in custody, and we believe that that suspect is the shooter involved in this situation. There has been talk of 2 other suspects. I want to make it clear that there are 2 different investigations that are going on that culminate in the shooting of our deputy. There was the initial disturbance that we responded to that we believe all 3 of these parties played a part in. Then there was the shooting of our deputy. We do not believe that the other 2 suspects that were part of the original call were involved in the shooting of our deputy. Early this morning at about 4 o'clock, we had released the lockdown or the shelter in place that we had put on our community. Right now, we are still seeking to find anybody that has information that would have been related to that original disturbance and obviously to the shooting of our deputy. I think at a time like this, it's important to talk about the impact that a deputy has on a community. And specifically, today we wanted to talk about Deputy Gum and the impact that he has had on our community. It was just a few weeks ago that we received a letter of gratitude from an Adams County mother. She was moved so much by the level of service that Deputy Gum provided to her son that she took the time to reach out and make sure that we knew. Deputy Gum not only assisted this young man, he also addressed the traffic safety concerns at the scene. His approach was so calm and professional that this mother was moved to write us a letter of appreciation. You can imagine that over the course of the last 5 years, there's a lot of stories like this about Deputy Gum. And I would imagine that you've probably seen some of those on social media. As we continue our investigation, I can't even begin to express the appreciation that I have for the multiple agencies that have participated in the response to this tragic event. One of those entities is the Colorado Fallen Heroes Foundation. I've been with the Sheriff's Office now for over 30 years. And fortunately, there's only been one other time at the very start of my career that we've lost somebody within the Adams County Sheriff's Office in the line of duty. To handle a situation like this, a line of duty death, takes a lot of people coming to our aid. And the combined experience of this group that it brings to our agency at this time is invaluable to us and invaluable to the family that is mourning the loss of Deputy Gum. I also want to make sure that there is a lot of information that is out there, a lot of information that's inaccurate. If you want accurate information, that has to come from us. We're the only ones that are going to be putting out the accurate information. It's also important to know that this is an active investigation. There is nothing more important to me than making sure that the person or persons that are involved in this situation as a whole, but particularly the situation of the shooting and the killing of one of our deputies, comes to justice. You may ask about a photo of the suspect that we have. You may ask about the name of a suspect we have. And I know that that information is out there, but I am not going to confirm or deny that. There are still investigative interviews that we need to do. A photo of somebody can be critically important to an investigation to make sure that we cover all of our bases. I'm asking you, until we get those interviews done, not to share the photo that you have. I know that some of you already have, but it's making our investigation of a murder of a police officer more difficult. You tie our hands when you jump ahead of us in the manner that some of the media outlets have done. I understand that there's a need, a want, and a desire to inform our community, and I am 100% with you. I want to make sure that our community knows that we are doing everything that we can to keep them safe as we investigate this homicide of our deputy. But I just want to reiterate that I am not going to compromise our investigation by releasing information too soon that would do just that. And I'm asking you to partner with me in that so that we can make sure that as this goes to court and it goes through the legal process, that identification, which can usually be a big deal, is no issue because we partnered together to make sure that we release the information at the proper time. That's all I have for my prepared statement. I'll be happy to answer a couple of questions from you if you would like.
You talked about a lot of inaccurate information out there. Can you talk about maybe the two most significant things you'd want to correct that have been reported inaccurately?
I guess it's difficult to know whether the information is inaccurate or if it's just not timely, and that would be the information that I would be giving you. We had taken steps to make sure that we were holding that information. Somehow it got out, and that can jeopardize an investigation. And we want to make sure that we don't jeopardize the investigation. So in order to not jeopardize the investigation, we are not going to release the photo or the name of the suspect that we have in custody until we have the interviews done that we need to get done.
Can you talk about the timeline of what led up to the shooting, the timeline of events?
Hold on 1 second, ma'am.
Oh, I understand that Gum had 2 young children. Can you confirm?
That is not correct. Deputy Gum does not have any children. Yes, ma'am.
Can you walk us through the timeline of events that led up to the shooting? Can you confirm whether or not Deputy Gum was wearing a bulletproof vest?
Deputy Gum was wearing a bulletproof vest. He and other deputies responded to a call of a disturbance in that area. They had some information as to who was involved in the disturbance. Deputy Gum and a few other deputies were involved in identifying one of those suspects when the shooting occurred.
Was the suspect hiding anywhere? Were they surprised by the gunfire? Can you shed more light as to what specifically led to the moments of the shooting?
Yeah, that piece is still. We have investigators over there right now that are still going through the crime scene to try to put those pieces together. We have interviewed our deputies that have given us some of that information. I don't know whether Deputy Gum was surprised by what it is that he encountered.
And there's been some information out there specifically where the deputy was shot. Would you tell us, please, because he was wearing a vest, where the bullet or bullets went in that were fatal?
Yeah, and because this is an ongoing investigation, we're not going to release that information yet. I can tell you that he was wearing a vest. I'm wearing a vest. There are places on my person that are not protected by the vest, and sometimes that is what we see in some of these shootings. Is and until we get deep into it, and my understanding is that the autopsy was around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. Until we get further into it, and I know exactly what may have happened, whether it was a failure of the vest or whether he was hit in an area where the vest didn't cover, we should know more after the autopsy.
Sheriff, we've heard from some witnesses that there may have been a woman that was beaten and that was part of the disturbance. Can you confirm that? Is she okay? Who was that woman? If that was the case?
Yeah, the disturbance involved males and females. To the extent of their injuries, I'm not aware of any injuries that would cause anybody to go to the hospital.
Can you explain the moments from the shooting of the to the moment of apprehension of the suspect? Explain the details of how long after the suspect was arrested.
As you can imagine, in a situation like that, when an officer calls out that there's been shots that have been fired, we get a lot of people, a lot of law enforcement officer response, which again I can't thank our law enforcement partners and agencies in the metro area enough for their response. But we were able to lock that area down very, very quickly, and I believe it was within, I don't know, 30 minutes to 45 minutes that we came upon the suspect.
2 more questions, please. Sheriff, any idea how the 2 suspects you're looking for were able to leave the area? I'm assuming you did a pretty extensive search last night. And anything you can share with us?
Right, and it's difficult to call them suspects. They're folks that have information about the original disturbance. Our concerns were about the shooter at the time, so that's where our focus was. Not to my knowledge, no. Last question, yes, sir. Well, it's a plea to anybody that was in that area and has any information that would help us in our investigation, is to call us at 720-322-1313. Thank you. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I'm in front.